should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't
is a true crime discussions channel. We speculate. This is all just speculation. Because it's true crime, is for mature audiences only. There will be no children allowed, no exceptions. Everything on this channel falls under fair use. Please remember to like, comment, subscribe, and share. It's free.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you. Happy Sunday, fun day. Good morning, bad girl, Natasha, Queen Olive, Pointer Lover. Good to see you. Petunia, Anders, my love, Mallory, Jess, good to see you. Rachel, good to see you. My Nightbot. Oh, I haven't changed the timer on that, so that's probably going to be annoying. I'm sorry. Annette, good to see you. Lily, good to see you. Hey all. Hey, Julie, good to see y'all. Thank y'all for being here today. So I'm sure you've heard, but in case you haven't, legendary actor Gene Hackman died. And I have some news clips to talk about and go over. I also have the search warrant document from As the Gavel Drops Discord and YouTube channel. So I will drop their links when we talk about that. So let's see. Let's see what we got. All right, we got 2 from 2 days ago. Let's start with this one. This is the...
Just send somebody up here real quick.
Hold on just a minute. This is from the Australian, and it is titled... I don't know. I know it goes over the 911 call.
Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
Hold on. Let me turn the captions on. All right. So I don't know much about this. I'm going to learn about it with y'all today.
Just send somebody up here real quick.
Okay. Are they awake?
Hey, Alex.
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on a floor from the window.
Okay. Okay. Do they appear to be completely awake?
On the way?
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No. It's not.
Okay.
They live in New Mexico, and there's a picture of their house on the thumbnail. Hey, Abellis. Good to see you.
Okay. Did you hear them talk or cry?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody up here really quick.
Okay, my units are on their way, okay?
I'm sorry?
My units are on their way right now. And,
okay, I'll meet them down at the gatehouse because they might not have a code.
Okay. Also, is there any way...
That means that I'll probably cut off with you.
Okay. Also, is there any way that you can open the house, or is there like a hidden key so my units can access it?
I have no idea.
So the house is closed? The door is closed? Yeah.
I'm sorry?
So I do know that supposedly they were, unfortunately mummified. And there's a lot of speculation about this case. Hey, Janet, and all I need is Jesus. Janet says, the dispatcher is clearly not listening. Right. All I need is Jesus asked, how did the bodies mummify in less than 2 weeks? I have no idea. Hey, indie girl. It's good to see you. I have a lot of questions about that too. I mean, I would assume maybe because it's in New Mexico, but in like heat. But I mean, I wouldn't think it'd be that hot. Hey, Teresa. Teresa says, sometimes I wonder if 911 operators get any training, considering the number of bad operators we hear online. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure they do, but like some of them, I'm like, if you can't do this with respect, you need to get a different job or something.
I'm going to meet them.
Okay, sir. My units are on their way, but can you confirm the address? Because I don't have a 1 North Summit Drive. Copy.
There is a 1 North Summit. That's where I work at.
Hello, Ron.
Oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm in the house. I'm just like, it's like it's away.
He's breaking up. Considering that they didn't even have the address in the system, I mean, that makes me question the operator as well. But maybe it's because of their status. It wasn't in the system. Hey, Irene, good to see you. Janet said, if you have ever been to New Mexico, it's so dry your nose cracks. But your hair looks great. I have never been there. I wouldn't mind going, though. I would love to go look at the rocks out there. We have a rock tumbler, and I hear there's some like pretty cool rocks out there. Hey, beach bum.
Ambulance coming. It says the ambulance coming out here.
Okay, what are you wearing so my unit's not you? So there. I can barely understand you. You're coming in and out.
How come I don't hear anything, ambulance or anything? They're just right down there, Fort Marston.
Okay, my units are on their way, okay?
Oh, yeah, I hear something.
It seems like when you're in a situation like that, it seems like they take forever. It's like, especially when there's like a station right close to you, and it seems like sometimes it takes forever. It's so stressful.
Okay, just to confirm, is there any way my unit can get into the house?
I'm sorry.
Is there any way my unit can get into the house?
It's gated. I don't know the code number, but I could just bring him up to the house. The way we got in was we jumped the wall. I could do it, and I can see it comes in and out all the time. Here comes him, I'm gonna let go.
Okay.
Here comes the unit out here. I thank you for your help. I appreciate you. Bye.
So Beach Bum said, do you think that he could have died of natural causes and then she did what happened to herself? I don't know. From what I've been told and from what I've heard so far is that the two, Gene Hackman and his wife, were both definitely deceased. And then I've heard that all of the dogs were deceased. And then I've heard that some of the dogs were deceased. It's very strange to me that all of them, that they both are found deceased, and then the dogs are found deceased as well, or some of them at least. I don't really know what to make of it. Me and Hio were talking about it last night, and she had a theory that we'll talk about in just a second that kind of makes sense to me. I had to go back this way because it won't show me the dates, and I'm trying to go like from the oldest to the newest. There was another one from 2 days ago, I do believe. Okay, yeah. Here is what the police had to say about it. Santa Fe County Sheriff's Office. Please don't go back. Of course it did. I hate when that happens.
French Connection, The Conversation, Superman.
Okay. This one might be hard to hear. I do have the captions on most of the time when they do press conferences. They record them and they're so low. I don't know why. Hey, Veronica, good to see you. Pointer Lover said that his pacemaker stopped on February 17th. Didn't that alert anyone? Yeah, I've heard that too. And I have questions like, it's supposed to alert people if your pacemaker stops working. Hey, Tony. Hey, Rachel. Rachel said 1 dog in the house was gone, 2 dogs outside fine. Okay. Yep. And Abella said 1 dog was deceased in the bathroom closet. The other 2 were roaming around, 1 inside, 1 outside. It looked like Gene and Betsy Judy dropped. Okay. Or just dropped. So, yeah, that's what we have on it so far. I have one theory on, well, actually, it's Hio's theory about how the dog might have died and what might have happened. But I'm going to wait a minute until we get kind of caught up to tell you what my thoughts are.
You know, we've struggled to release as much information as we can, as we have. There may be a press release that comes out this afternoon. You know, the search warrant was executed just before 10 o'clock p.m. last night, and so they've been working diligently through the night and starting again in the morning to completely process the scene. And so we're still in the preliminary steps of the investigation. There's not a lot of new information that's available, but you know, we will try to include that in our press release this afternoon as soon as the investigators hopefully are finished processing the scene.
Can you confirm if they have been deceased for a long period of time? I was told maybe a week or 2.
You know, all I can say is they have been deceased for quite a while. You know, that's a determination that's better suited for OMI and the experts, but it sounds like they had been deceased for a while, and I don't want to take a guess in reference to how long that was.
Who found them? Was it these 2 maintenance workers, I believe?
So from what I understand, there was a gentleman that was doing some pest control work that had gone to the Hackman residence, and he noticed that they weren't home, which was odd, I guess, and as far as he was concerned. He made contact with a security officer that was there, either patrolling or in the subdivision, and then it was a security officer that went to the house and had discovered the individuals in the home.
You guys are ruling out foul play, though.
We're not ruling it out. What I did state was there was no obvious sign or indication of a foul play. There was no immediate sign of foul play. I haven't ruled that out yet. This is an investigation, so we're keeping everything on the table. You know, I think the autopsy is going to tell us a lot, and any evidence that we collect, but I haven't ruled any of that out yet.
Can you talk about the carbon monoxide aspect? I know they tested for that.
Yeah, so you know, obviously it's not I wouldn't say odd, but it's not normal to find 2 people deceased in the residence. That's
Hey,
concerning.
Bazard, it's good to see you. I dropped the link. So yeah, both of them were found deceased and mummified or I know somebody was mummified, and one of the dogs were deceased in the house. And it was not foul play, is what we know so far. I'm listening to the police briefing to see what else we can get from it, and then I'm going to read the document that I was able to get. It tells us what basically the search warrant and what they were looking for.
Concerning. And then there was also a dog that was in a kennel that was also found deceased. We don't know the cause of that, obviously, but you know, on our experience and working on cases like this, that is a possibility. Because of that.
Hey, Bazard, it's good to see you.
Hello. How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I just saw the announcement of this stream like a few minutes ago, so I just want to pop in and talk about it because I want to hear your theory. I have a theory of my own as well, and it's just really sad that how him and his wife and at least one of the dogs, or how many dogs that did pass away, we still don't know how they went out.
Yeah, so from what I heard, there was 2 dogs that were outside and they were okay, but finding out that this dog was in a kennel, I would think that he probably starved because
Hmm.
it had been at least 2 weeks, unfortunately. So my theory was that maybe they just Hio's theory was that maybe they just gave up, or his pacemakers might have stopped working or something, and maybe he died, and then she was so upset or uh, distraught. Maybe she took some medication and ended her life. And then we were thinking maybe the dog got a hold of the medication if they fell on the floor or something. But now I've just heard the dog was in a kennel, which makes me think the dog maybe starved.
Hmm. It kind of is somewhat in the same ballpark, but my theory is that it is possible that he probably was having a health issue, and he probably told her to end it. I mean, at this point, he was what, 95, 96. I
Yep.
heard he was having other health issues, and that's kind of the ballpark that I was thinking was maybe a assisted assisted murder suicide in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then they were what, together for almost 30, 20, 30 some years, at least somewhere in that ballpark. So I just kind of figured she just wanted to go out because she didn't want to be by herself without him. And then, of course, unfortunately, the dog was locked. I don't know, but then it's like, why didn't she? Maybe because she was so distraught that she just forgot about the dogs, and unfortunately, that one died in the kennel, and the other two just somehow survived for 2 weeks. But I do wonder how they were mummified so quickly in less than. If they think it was 2 weeks, I would have figured maybe a lot longer than that.
Right. That's weird to me too. The only thing I could figure out about that would be maybe the air or heat in New Mexico, but I don't know. I'm gonna look. We'll look up the temperatures and see if it's possible after we watch this briefing.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we'll do. We'll figure that one out. Hey,
Because I,
Fabi.
I was thinking, well, could it have been like, depending on what was like the like air conditioner or anything like that was in the house, it's like, how would they I don't want to say, oh, like really bad, but like just decompose that badly in a sense to be mummified.
Yeah, that's a good question, and that's one I'm having issues with too. Unless it's so hot in New Mexico that it could happen, but it's been winter, so I wouldn't think it would
Mm-hmm.
happen that quick.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna find out. Toxicology is important, very important, Veronica.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Hey, OG Fish, I didn't even see you. The heater and dry air. It's a possibility, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then I
Pamela.
heard I heard different stories that she was more decomposed than him. That's what I was hearing some other reports too.
That's interesting. That would
So
make me think maybe she
mhm.
died first and then he ended it because he couldn't make it without her.
That's what I was seeing some on like X, and some other sites were saying that is a possibility that allegedly she seemed to be more mummified than him. So it does go to like something definitely weird happened. How did two people get in that quarter? Is that sort of like mummification that, well, like you said, quickly or slowly?
Right. Very curious.
But I think a lot of people just knew something was weird because how the police were saying, "Oh, it's no foul play" originally. Now it's like it is suspicious. Like, I mean, it was kind of obvious it was suspicious anyway.
Yeah. I heard when it first broke, I heard possible carbon monoxide
Mm-hmm.
poisoning, but and I mean, I guess maybe that's still a possibility, but I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Because then one of the other dogs we dead as well.
Well, not if they were outside.
Oh, okay, okay, yeah. If they're outside, I was thinking they were like somewhere else in the house too, but yet, but then I guess I wonder how they were able to survive for 2 weeks without no food. Just the two of the other dogs.
Um, well, okay. I don't want to get I'm going to get a little graphic here, but
No,
if
I get
there's
it.
if there's a dog outside, okay, and they're in an area where they go outside and they used the restroom. Maybe some of that was out there and they ate that to survive on it. You know, dogs do
That's
that. I don't know.
yeah, that's a possibility. Yeah, I didn't think about that part. It's like, oh
Yeah,
yeah,
it's kind of nasty, but I don't know. I mean, because I don't know if a dog would eat a bug. I mean, and I wouldn't think there would be that many bugs, especially in New Mexico. So I would think maybe a mixture of the two. Um,
yeah,
Catching birds if they came, maybe.
yeah. That's a possibility.
Mm, okay, I'm gonna play the video. Sorry, I
Hmm.
didn't mean to go there, but I mean, I'm trying to figure out,
Oh
what.
yeah, we're all trying to. Yeah.
Yeah.
We called in the fire department. We called in PNM to go through the house, do some testing to figure out if it was even safe for our officers to go in and process the scene and execute the warrant. They stated that it was safe. I don't have the details of exactly what they located or what they didn't locate. It was determined that it was safe. We had been.
So that tells me that they had a very strong suspicion of some kind of carbon monoxide because
Mhm.
of them making sure that it was safe for them to enter, and they said it was. So they at least suspected carbon monoxide, I'm assuming.
Right, because when I first heard it, I thought it was that too. But then this is my first time hearing the 911 call, and it sounds like so that was the security or the gardener or pest control guy.
Um, it might have been the gardener. I know whoever the man was that came to the house had to get security to open the gate and everything. So
And he actually did see them in or one of them, I'm assuming. I only caught the part where a little bit when he was talking to 911.
yeah, I think he saw her on the floor
Okay.
through a window, and then he couldn't get in, or he just called 911 immediately.
Oh, okay.
So I would assume that maybe it was like the gardener or something, because they would come at a specific time or whatever, and he's
Mhm.
trying to knock on the door and get them, hey, I'm here to do the work, some kind of worker. And
Okay.
then they didn't answer, so they got security to open the gate and shit.
Wow.
So sorry.
Been going in and out of the house. I don't know if that affects, if there was a concentration of any gas, including carbon monoxide. So, that's yet to be determined.
What did it say to you that the front door was open when their bodies were discovered?
Yeah, they were home. So, I don't know if that was, if it was left ajar. There was no indication of a struggle. There was no indication of anything that was missing from the home or disturbed. That would be indication that there was a crime that had occurred.
So that's interesting. I didn't know the door was open. So I'm wondering, I think the worker said he had not gone in the house. So if he had not gone in the house, why is the door open?
Now that was something I've heard recently too, like just a day or two after this was reported, and I was like, well, a door was open, either like a side door or front door, something to that effect. So someone was able to get in or out or however, the door was left open.
Yeah. Um, unless they opened it. I mean, unless they, it was a planned thing and they opened the door so people would find them. But I mean, again, this is weird.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, Ava, good to see you. Like, the more I'm learning, the more suspicious I am. I heard there was a lot going on in this case, but I was going to kind of dig it with you guys. I do have the search warrant. We're going to look at it as soon as we play this video.
There was no indication of that. As far as, there could be a multitude of reasons why the door was open.
Obviously, a very high-profile case. You're getting attention from all over the world. How does the department handle that?
The same way we handle every other case, with caution and with facts. We want to make sure that we get the investigation completed properly, and we want to release the proper information. And sometimes that takes time. And so I just ask people that, and then the media, to be patient. We will release as much information as we can when the time is right and when they're factual.
So just to clarify again, right now you guys aren't meaning one way or another. The investigation is completely open to the cause of their deaths?
Yes, it is.
In your experience, Sheriff, have you ever come across something like this before in your county?
Me personally, there have been cases. We investigate deaths all the time. Some are natural causes, some are criminal. And so, we have a great investigative team, and I can guarantee you that they're going to work this case. They're going to look at every aspect, and try to figure out the exact cause. And I think the autopsy is going to be key, and the toxicology. But again, in my experience, that could take a while. And so I just ask that people be patient. There's rumors and people, I think, coming to their own conclusions. And I just say, just wait for the facts.
There were 2 other dogs found in the home alive, correct?
Yes.
Where were they found?
Well, they had access to in and out of the house. Obviously the door was open. I don't know, again, the reason for that. I think there was a dog door where they had access to come in and out of the house. So they had access in the house. The other dog didn't. He was in a kennel or a crate, however you want to explain that. It's concerning that everyone in the house.
So something that just also hit my mind is that if the dog was in the kennel, maybe that dog, okay, if you have several dogs and like one of them doesn't like a certain person or people, maybe they had a guest over and that dog didn't like that person, or that dog was just not good around people in general. And so that dog would have been put in the kennel, and the other 2 who were fine with that person in particular or guest in general would still be left out. And that,
Right.
I mean, that would be the door open thing too. So that's another possible speculation.
That is interesting, because that's what I guess a lot of people were wondering, well, what was up with the other 2? And now it's like, okay, they're able to walk around and get inside the house. But I guess I don't know, the size of the doggy door opener, because sometimes it could be a big dog or a small dog can get through. So that is interesting that
Yeah.
they were able to survive that long, just going in and out of the house.
Yeah, I'm gonna look into that too. And yeah, they ate something outside. I mean, they had to have eventually. That one dog, because if they were just eating, like if they were able to survive off of the water and food that was left out for them, then the other dog would have survived. I would think. And I mean, if they could access a pantry, I'm sure they could have went in there and like chewed on bags of chips or something until they opened. Depends on what they could access in the house too.
Right.
The ones that were roaming free.
And then I know with dogs, I know this kind of be a trigger warning for everyone, but they normally don't eat their owners until usually they feel like they're starving. I know cats will eat you in like less than maybe a few days. So
yeah, cats are bad for that.
I wonder if they're gonna do, of course, autopsy, make sure that, or check and see if the dogs were, unfortunately were eating. I'm assuming probably the wife more, because he was found in the bedroom from what I've heard.
Yeah, hopefully, I would hope that it didn't get to that point. But again, I mean, it's a possibility. Because if they're allowed in and out of the house, yeah, they're not. Considering it's an animal, and eventually there's going to be, so yeah, I could definitely. That's a definite possible speculation, unfortunately. Hey, Lori. Hey, Sarah.
The dog is deceased.
Do you know the last time that anybody heard from Hackman or his wife?
We're still trying to make that determination.
The pills that were found next to his wife, those were prescribed to her?
I don't know that off the right now. I know that there was some pills that were located. I don't know. I won't comment on what they were exactly. That information will be passed to OMI, so that'll help them make the determination. And so I don't have the exact information on the pills right now.
Is there still an investigation going on at the scene?
Yes.
Any anticipation on how long that'll take?
However is necessary, however much time is necessary. We want to do a complete and thorough investigation.
Okay, so that's that. Pointer lover just said that the dog that was in the crate had just recently been at the vet, and so that's why the dog was in the crate. So maybe the dog, I'm assuming the dog had some kind of procedure or surgery, and that makes sense. So that would not necessarily mean that maybe another person was there.
Right. Yeah, they're gonna have to like. I was they just really have to trace and see what was like their last final days alive and just see what was going on, because this is just it's such a bizarre way to go out, for such, not just because he was a famous person, but just anyone. Like, this is a weird way to go out.
Yeah, it is very weird. We're gonna look at this search warrant real quick, and then we'll test some theories that we were talking about. I got this from As the Gavel Drops Discord. I pinned their link at the top of the comment section if you want to go get it for yourself. I really wish it would stop doing that. Stay. Oh my gosh. Hold on just a minute. My computer likes to be weird.
It's
Lordy Jesus. Okay, fine. Let's do 75. Okay. That one looks better. Okay, so this is the search warrant, and it is the state of New Mexico or in Magistrate Court, County of Santa Fe, as the plaintiff, and it's versus, and it says, in the matter to the issuance of a search warrant in regards to a 2-story residence that has olive green colored stucco. There is flagstone near the front entrance of the residence. The front door is facing southeast. The door appears to be a grand entry with glass windows and black metal frame. The stucco to the right of the front entry, northeast side, is pink in color and then transitions to a tan in color stucco. The residence is identified as, and it gives the address, in New Mexico. The residence is located in Santa Fe County, state of New Mexico. Affidavit for search warrant. Your affiant, Detective R, being duly sworn upon this oath, is a peace officer under the laws of New Mexico, and makes the following statements. Affiant has reason to believe at the below described residence, surrounding building, and Coltridge located at, and it gives the address, could contain evidence that would assist law enforcement in determining the circumstances pertaining to the death investigation of Eugene Gene Allen Hackman and Betsy Arqua. So, items to be seized and collected: ignitable, flammable, explosive, and or combustible substances, whether solid, liquid, and gas, or any containers and or materials that may contain said substances or have substances on them. That's interesting. Materials apparently used and or intended for use of administering aid and or assistance to injured people. Any documents which have what appears to be the personal identifying information for them and any version of their name and personal identifying information. Narcotics, controlled substances, including but not limited to drug or substance listed as Scheduled 1 narcotics through the Controlled Substance Act. Documentation of the herein described premises, persons, and or herein described items to be seized by means of measurement, photography, videography, and other means deemed necessary by law enforcement. Cameras, video cameras, films, whether exposed or unexposed, photographic negatives, basically the security camera footage. Clothing that they wore, photographs of the residents, latent and visible fingerprints, materials used for administering aid, any weapons, and instruments capable of causing sharp force trauma to human body. That's interesting. Documents that establish or tend to establish ownership, possession, use, transport, and or the right to ownership, possession, use, and or transfer of the herein described items to be seized, any weapons, and instruments capable of causing blunt force trauma. They keep saying blunt force trauma. Any items or materials that have what appear to be impression marks and or defects on said items and or materials. Any record documented in the media, which appears to be a password, personal identification number. What is it, baby? Coffee? Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. So sweet.
Aww.
Okay. Biological fluids, DNA, blood, or trace evidence, telephones. And it says, in order to ensure complete and thorough investigations, investigators may be required to examine the entire above-mentioned premises. So And I'll continue reading about the facts and establish things. But what I'm noticing most out of this is all of the blunt force trauma, or things that could cause blunt force trauma. That's concerning.
Right.
That makes me think that there's some kind of, I mean, they have evidence to believe that they were hit in the head or stabbed or something. Hey, Cracker Jack in Carolina.
But then I guess it would kind of maybe explain why they're not being fully well, at least initially with the press conference, explaining more like what they initially saw. But this warrant, I mean, it is weird they're saying all this kind of stuff like instruments that can cause harm, and it's like, well, you guys didn't say anything about anything of like a brutal, anything like that. It's just, well, we just found their bodies, or someone found their bodies, and that was it.
Right. But then they're talking about instruments that could cause blunt force trauma, sharp instruments, any weapon. I mean, they check for guns and things, but when they're talking about specifically blunt force trauma and weapons that could cause blunt force trauma or have marks on them, anything that has marks that looks, proceeding to that, that's really interesting. And that makes me think there's definitely more to this.
I mean, like I said, I'm not surprised that they would do that. It's just, well, now when you have this out, you're just making more like us question more things. Like, okay, so is there a lot more to what you guys are telling us? Maybe because you're investigating and there might be allegedly suspect or suspects involved. Who?
Right. All right. I'll continue reading, and it says, and that the facts tending to establish the foregoing grounds for the issuance of the search warrant are as follows. Affiant, the detective, is a full-time certified peace officer in the state of New Mexico who has attended the Mexico Law Enforcement Academy. That just gives us his information. It says, the second paragraph, the facts set forth in this affidavit are based upon affiant's personal observations, training and experience, and information obtained from other law enforcement officers and civilian witnesses. This affidavit is made for the sole purpose of demonstrating probable cause for the issuance of the requested warrant and does not purport to set forth all affiant's knowledge of or investigation into this matter. All times depicted in this writing are approximate. So the statement of facts known to the detective state at approximately 1:43 p.m. on Wednesday, February 26, 2025, Santa Fe Regional Emergency Communications Center, or REC, received a call for service regarding a reporting party locating two deceased individuals inside of the residence. Unsecured and opened. Deputies observed a healthy dog running loose on the property, another healthy dog near the deceased female, a deceased dog laying 10 to 15 feet from the deceased female in a closet of the bathroom, the heater being moved, the pill bottle being open, and pills scattered next to the female. The male descendant being located in a separate room of the residence, and no obvious signs of a gas leak. At this time, affiant believes there's sufficient probable cause for the issuance of this search warrant. Any evidence collected could corroborate or refute statements made by those associated to the investigation and would assist law enforcement in determining the cause and manner of death in this death investigation. And it was signed.
Jeez. I mean, you have the pills all over the floor, the dogs, the dogs were able to go in and out. I'm surprised, I guess, they didn't eat those pills. I've always been afraid of my dogs or dog eating medication that falls on the floor. So, gosh,
right.
Man.
That was a speculation that Hio and I was talking about last night. We were thinking that maybe the dogs, the dogs or dog might have been deceased from eating pills because we had heard that there was pills around her or something.
Gee, what the hell? Yeah, this is wow.
This is insane. I'm getting YouTube pulled back up so we can continue watching videos on it. Pamela said, I know sometimes blunt force trauma can't be detected until an autopsy is performed. Okay, so maybe they're just looking at things in reference to that, because they did mention the gas leak again. Rachel said they would look for anything that could cause harm in the beginning. I thought they said no injuries were apparent. They did. So that all of that makes sense.
I'm assuming maybe since she was on the ground, yeah, that could be considered blunt force trauma when you fall down and hit your head. I just don't know her position of her body when they found her, where she's like face down or on her side or on her back. But that could be why maybe they're mentioning blunt force in some ways. But then it's like, well, why you didn't mention like the objects, like either like a sharp object or something like a hammer? You know, they're implying it, but they didn't really say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Ava Slim said the report was that the dog inside that was deceased was in a kennel. 2 others were able to get outside and were okay. Yeah, and then Pointer Lover said that dog had recently been to the vet, so that would make me think that the dog died of starvation in the kennel. But before we knew the dog was in the kennel, I was questioning whether he could have died from eating the pills or something, getting the medication. Allie said, my husband said his kids don't seem very sorry that he died. I mean, everybody deals with grief differently. And he was like 95, so I'm sure they had been kind of preparing for it, unfortunately, for a little while. This is weird, though. Ava Slim said a pacemaker alerts the doctor, and the pacemaker had not alerted the doctor that it had stopped working or had a malfunction or something to that effect, from what I understand, like in February, sometime in early February. And Bad Girl said the son doesn't talk to the family and the other daughter is still pushing carbon thing, even though it's been ruled out in autopsy. Okay, so I haven't seen the autopsy.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything yet about that.
And then Fawny said, oh, you're talking to Abellis. Okay. All right. So we've got a couple from one day ago. Let's see. So we'll do this one next. This is 7 critical details from the search warrant. Let's see what they have to say since we just read that. Julie said he was said to have dropped his children from his will. Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I've
That's
sort of
interesting.
heard, yeah, there were issues with him and his kids, but, you know, I always kind of assume that's like everyone else.
Hold on. Yeah, sorry about that. It when I load the video, it'll just start playing.
No, it's all good. Yeah, I've always heard there were issues.
Really, that's interesting.
But it's like,
that puts
well,
another aspect.
Right. It's like, well, of course, you know, we got to wait until whatever the authorities say, but it's those things that you think in the back of your head, you know, but like they were saying, you know, he was already 95, and I would think I would be expecting or prepared when my mother or father go out eventually. You know, it's like they're at that age. So, but it's just weird that if there's issues between us, and then, you know, it's just the way their bodies are found, and it could be money involved. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting to say the least.
Yeah, for sure. Carolina, thank you for coming by, and I hope you have a good day, love. Lori said, who called pest control, and why were they badly decomposing? How long did it take for lease control or pest control? Well, so usually when you do, like, you have them spray or whatever around your house, you schedule it a month out. So it would be maybe a monthly visit if it was a pest control type of thing. Hey, Bogart. Bogart says rest in peace and put prayer hands. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, see, this is why I personally think they've been deceased a lot longer. That's my personal opinion. 2 weeks to me doesn't seem like, it's too fast to mummify, in my personal opinion. Even if the conditions, and you know, I used to live out in Arizona for a little bit, and they discovered over the years, like they found either Native American bodies that were somewhat mummified, but it still takes a while from what I've heard. But then again, I could be wrong, but I think, in my personal opinion, they probably were long gone, more than 2 weeks, in my personal opinion.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's ask Google. Okay. It's probably been searched a lot. So I changed it to would a body mummify in New Mexico in February, and of course it's pulling up this everything from this. I don't know if we'll get an answer necessarily, but we'll try if my computer will work. So it says mummification is the point at which the decompositional process ceases, with another published medical report in the International Journal of Legal Medicine indicating the development of mummification. It's considered to take weeks, if not months, and once mummification is released, the body can be preserved in that, and I don't know if it'll tell me.
I'm assuming form, because
Okay.
yeah, from what I've seen from I know like in South America they found preserved mummified individuals, and it was like you still see the skin still looks as best it could after what 500 years or whatever. But that's why I was like, I knew from what I remember, it normally takes more than 2 weeks, so it sounds like it could have been weeks, if not a month, maybe, or close to a
Yeah,
month.
I would think it would take a month or so. But again, let me make sure I didn't just lose y'all.
I still hear you. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. I'm wondering if the temperature in New Mexico would play a part, but I don't know. I'm gonna search it on my phone because it's messing up my computer. So the last part of that, body can be preserved in that state for an extended period of time.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. I need to find out if the New Mexico temperature is going to play a part in that. Let me pull this back up. All right, so we'll watch this, and I'm going to search it on my phone, and I'll show y'all what I find while we watch this. Okay, awesome. My kids are on the internet. I'm going to get them off real quick.
There's no stress. I'm going to wait for you at the gate. I'm going to wait for you to please send somebody really quick.
More questions than answers after brand new search warrant drops as to how Hollywood legend Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog died. The three discovered this week inside their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. And some reports say they allegedly had signs of mummification.
We're not ruling it out. What I did state was there was no obvious sign or indication of a foul play. There was no immediate sign of foul play. I haven't ruled that out yet. This is an investigation, so we're keeping everything on the table.
We're diving into the latest from law enforcement, what that brand new search warrant reveals, and what the alleged mummification of one of the bodies tells us about what could have happened. We're on the case, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
Okay, so Rachel said his pacemaker stopped functioning on the 17th, and
Okay.
if he was like, it's weird that nobody was notified, but I'm wondering if he was just at the end of his life and just was like, I'm just ready to go, and then she ended it herself with the pills. It's weird that nobody knew anything about the pacemaker not working.
Right. Unless, of course, maybe the doctor, but then, yeah, that's just strange, because wouldn't that person be curious? Like, I haven't heard from my client in weeks,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't catch the last part of what you said. Could you repeat that?
Oh,
I'm sorry.
yeah, I was just saying it's like, okay, so what Rachel was saying, the 17th, wouldn't the doctor be curious about their client if they hadn't heard anything from them? If they knew that his pacemaker wasn't working or acting up?
Right.
Wouldn't they have been
That's the question.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you would think they would be notified. So why didn't anybody contact him? I mean, that's just weird.
So okay, so if it's the 17th was allegedly when it wasn't working, and then their bodies were found like what by the end of the February, the 28th. So that's over 2 weeks right there. But I still think that they were gone before then. That's my personal feeling.
Yeah, and I mean, unless, I mean, okay, if it didn't alert the doctor, maybe Gene didn't know his pacemaker stopped working. If he did know the pacemaker stopped working, maybe he was just done. I don't know. And then, yeah,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
it again, the mummification thing makes me think it's been longer than that.
Yeah, that's the thing, because I'm like, the only other places from what I can remember researching over the years for just topics, but yeah, it was like, I know in warm environments, certain warm, dry environments, it's possible to be mummified, but it was like I always thought, like I said, I remembered, it takes a lot longer still, um,
Right,
compared to like how other ways you can kind of be mummified naturally or like by human hands, basically.
right, right. So, yeah. All right, we're gonna see what this one has to say.
Okay.
It's been more than 24 hours since we learned of the deaths of acting legend Gene Hackman, his wife Betsy Arakawa, and their dog.
I was muted. It was like way behind, so I was trying to let it catch up for a second. Flora said they were intentionally reclusive. Abellis said one of the maintenance men said he was in contact with Betsy 2 weeks prior. Okay, so that's how they know they were alive 2 weeks prior.
Which would explain
Because,
the
I
long,
mean,
yeah.
and if they were both mummified, because, okay, if he's mummified and she's not, then that could be that maybe she was contacting people when he was no longer here. I don't know why she would do that or how she would do that. Like, how
Mhm.
she would just be having his body there and be upset. But, uh, if they're both mummified, that meant that, I mean, again, I mean, if she's contacting them 2 weeks prior and he's defended, I mean, he actually spoke to her on the phone or whatever, and it wasn't like just a text message or something like that, then that tells us they were definitely alive 2 weeks prior. And again, like we've been saying, I just don't think that's enough time to mummify a body.
That
I
quickly,
mean,
yeah.
unless they were outside in New Mexico heat. I mean, but just having the heat on, unless there's been a drastic change in temperature and it kept it at like 100 degrees in the house with the heat on.
That I've heard that, yeah, I've heard of that. Like, some people try to do that kind of stuff to not, I guess, decompose quicker the
Yeah.
victim's body, so then it'd be harder for the authorities to see, like, how long they've been gone. I've heard people doing that. But yeah, it's just the mummification thing is just the weirdest thing. I mean, well, other than just everything else, it's just like, well, how did it get to that point? Because then like I said, I heard it was either the wife was more supposedly more mummified, but now it could be. I was thinking too, maybe it could be him if he was gone
Yeah.
before her.
Yeah.
But then it's like,
Hmm.
why didn't it comes down like, why didn't she? Why would she panic if she knew if it was like a natural death, or less? Like I said, my theory was that it was assisted suicide or somewhat
Yeah.
murder suicide.
Right.
But then she could still say he died naturally, or, well, I don't know. Yeah.
Well, if your pacemaker had stopped working on February 17th or whatever, and I mean, you need that to live, he probably did die naturally. I don't think she did with the pills being around her.
No, yeah, no.
Rachel said, I think people are assuming complete mummy, and I don't think that's the case. That's a good point. Maybe it wasn't complete mummification.
Oh yeah, no. I personally think it'd take a lot longer for like a full human body to be like, because there's various ways to get mummified naturally, or like I said, by human hands ways. But I think it was partly partial, like mummification. But that's why I think it was still a lot longer process. It doesn't take 2 weeks to get even, let's say, a good portion of your body mummified.
Yeah. Um, Hold on. I'm looking at the search warrant real quick because I thought they said pills were all over around her. And then somebody said that the pills were on the counter, not all around her.
I
So
think it
I
is
was
saying it
checking the
was.
search warrant.
Mhm.
Let's see. I probably won't be able to pull it up, but I'm going to read it real quick because it's like not wanting to load. Okay. The pill bottle being opened and pills scattered next to the female is what it
Yep.
said. The male
Yep.
decedent being located in the separate room of the residence. So scattered next to the female and another healthy dog, a deceased dog, lying 10 to 15 feet from the deceased female in the closet of the bathroom. So I'm assuming she was in the bathroom and there was it said pills scattered around her. So that's what I'm thinking. And then lastly, before I play this video, Rachel said, yeah, I heard hands, feet, and face. Then 2 weeks makes sense. Okay, so that does make more sense.
Okay, yeah. Okay, then. Well, like I said, to me, it just sounds like they're probably gone a lot longer. But if it was like portions of their body mummified, I mean, that makes sense too.
Yeah. Hey, Mallory, Beavers, and I saw Liddy came in too. Pamela Moss said if she took her own life, why didn't she leave a note? That's a good question.
This because I still well, see, that's why I keep thinking he went first. I mean, to me, it seems like he went first, and then whatever reason she decided. Well, we don't know, but it's like whatever reason, there's pills all around her body. And then it's like that's the weird thing. Like, well, why didn't she still report to authorities if he did pass away naturally?
Yeah. I question that too, unless, they were reclusive, obviously, and unless she was just done and felt like she couldn't make it without him, then, I don't know.
But then it's like you leave a dog to die by itself, and what other dogs
Yeah.
could die. Yeah, it's like
I don't think she would have left her dog in the kennel. I would think she would let that dog out of the kennel. So, yeah, it's just, no matter how you try to make it make sense, it just doesn't.
Dog inside their Santa Fe, New Mexico home. Police say they don't suspect foul play, but their deaths are suspicious enough to warrant a full investigation that is continuing on as we speak. Here are some of the quick facts that we do know at this point before we jump into the details of that search warrant and the uncensored 911 call. Deputies say that a maintenance worker grew concerned when he arrived for work at the 95-year-old Hackman's house. There was no answer at the door. That worker then contacted the neighborhood security, which did a welfare check and saw Hackman and his wife on the floor through an outdoor window. Deputies say Hackman was found in a mudroom with a cane and sunglasses nearby. His wife, 64-year-old classical pianist Betsy Arakawa, was found in a bathroom. A prescription bottle and pills were found on the bathroom counter near her. Deputies say they also found a dog in a kennel that had died. There were
so that one says on the bathroom counter near her, but they still could have been scattered. With him being found in the mudroom with his cane and sunglasses, that would make me think he came in from outside and just collapsed because his pacemaker wasn't working. And then she did something afterwards. Maybe he went out for a walk or something and overexerted himself and then came in and died because the pacemaker wasn't working.
Man,
I know, Mallory Beavers, I feel really bad for the dog stuck in the crate too. It's so sad.
I mean, that's a horrible way to go. It really is.
Yeah.
Either animal
Flora
or
said
human.
Yeah, it's horrible, and God, I don't even want to. Lord have mercy, that poor dog. That's so sad. Flora said the meds were thyroid meds, Tylenol, and blood pressure meds. Ava Slim said the one inside was their favorite. Maybe two outside were more like guard dogs. It could be Mr. Hackman's pacemaker battery quit. That's a good point. From what Pointer Lover said, the one in the crate had recently been to the vet, so I would assume that it had some kind of procedure and needed to stay away from the other dogs until it healed. Ali X said, if it is if they did it by their own hand, you are not in your right mind when you're in that situation. Wouldn't think of the fog, right? Maybe they just weren't in there, right?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, for me, even if I knew, I'm just saying if I was in a situation where someone passed away accidentally, or maybe it was assisted deletion, and then it's like, but I still wanted, and I had pets, I would still in my mind, at least, I would still want the pets to be found at least
Yeah.
as soon as possible. I like before, if I was going to go, I wouldn't want them to suffer unless
Right.
at that point I want them to go with me too, which is in my personal opinion, a little kind of messed up, but
Well, I hadn't even thought about that though. Maybe she wanted that. Maybe that was her dog and she wanted him to go with her. But I
yeah.
would think, I mean, most people, like you said, like if I'm not okay, let me say this. I'm not going to hurt myself. I never would hurt myself. But I mean, just thinking about that instance, like I would be making sure, like I would have an appointment set up for like the next day so I would know that they would find me and Basil would be okay. And,
Mhm.
he's a rabbit, not even a dog. So,
But
know.
they're like your family. They really are become your family and or children. I'm assuming because they were elderly couple, those dogs had to been at least like their kids. And it's like, for me, I know, of course, like which I forgot who said that, but it could be because their mind wasn't right. But I don't
Yeah.
know. I mean, I would still want them to be found and someone take care of them. I don't want them to suffer weeks, without
Right.
eating, drinking.
Right. Yeah. It's hard
Hmm.
to think about.
Two other dogs still alive on the property. Here's part of the 911 call from someone who identifies themselves as a caretaker for the property, who's telling the dispatcher that they can see the bodies through the window from the outside. Listen to this.
Are they awake?
I have no idea.
Are they breathing?
I have no idea. I'm not inside the house. It's closed. It's locked. I can't go in. But I see them. She's laying down on a floor from the window.
Okay. Okay. Do they appear to be completely awake?
On the way?
Do they appear to be awake or alert?
No. It's not.
Okay. Okay. Did you hear them talk or cry?
No.
Okay. Okay. Are they moving at all?
No, dude, they're not moving. Just send somebody out here really quick.
Okay, my units are underway, okay?
Hey, Flora. Hey, Flora, and hey, Rubber Ramada. Flora said our animals sense panic and will be under your feet trying to help you. Yeah, but again, I mean, that dog was in a kennel, and I wouldn't think with the other two running around, I would think that dog would have went to get food and water if it could, or something if it could. If it was able to, it would have done what it had to do to survive, like the other dogs did. Cracker Jacks, yes, they were both found on the floor. Gene Hackman was in the mud room, and I think she was in the floor on the bathroom with pills scattered on the counter in the bathroom, from what they just said.
I'm sorry?
My units are underway right now.
Now, you can hear the panic in that maintenance worker's voice after what they say they saw through that window. When deputies arrived, they say Arakawa's body was in the process of decomposing and there were signs of mummification in her hands and feet. This is all information gathered from that brand new search warrant. Here's what else we learned. 6 things of interest were collected from the Santa Fe home. 2 green cellular devices, thyroid medication, dilitazem medication, which is, by the way, a calcium channel blocker that typically treats high blood pressure, Tylenol, MyQuest records, and a 2025 monthly planner. The search warrant also breaks down the specific details on the timeline of this investigation. We know at 1:43 in the afternoon on February 26th, which was Wednesday, the 911 call that you just heard was placed. 2 deputies were dispatched to Hackman's house. The deputies spoke with the 2 people on scene, that maintenance worker and caretaker that we mentioned before. One of the deputies approached the front door and found it slightly open. And he noted in the search warrant, he didn't find any signs of forced entry. When he went inside, he found the bathroom door, which was close to the entrance to the home, wide open. And that's when he found Hackman's wife lying on her right side on the ground. A black space heater was found near her head, and the deputy believed the heater could have fallen in the event the female abruptly fell to the ground. The deputy.
Okay. So her hands and feet were found mummified, and she was laying directly in front of a heater. So that explains everything, because they didn't say that he was mummified. They said she was. It was her hands and feet, and then a heater fell and was probably on and blowing directly on her the whole time. So that explains the mummification, to me anyway.
Also noticed an orange prescription bottle on the counter, and there were pills scattered on the countertop. This is also where the deputy spotted mummification to both Arakawa's hands and feet. The deputy inside the home kept searching and later found a dead German Shepherd. That's one of the family's dogs. The dog was about 10 to 15 feet from Hackman's wife in a closet of the bathroom. Hackman was found shortly after in the mudroom with his slippers on and a walking cane by his side. According to the deputy, he felt, based on his training, that Hackman had suddenly fallen. 2 other healthy dogs were found on the property. One was inside, one was outside. Also, from the search warrant, we know the remainder of the property was locked and secured. There were no signs that the home had been rummaged through, and nothing appeared to be out of place.
Okay, if we had the same search warrant, I don't know how you figured out that she was partially mummified, or if he was or not, from that search warrant, because that's not the one I have, but it is the search warrant for the Gene Hackman case. Abella said, I did hear that Gene had mummification also. Okay, so we'll have to see and find out. They just mentioned her in that, so we'll definitely listen and see what we can find out. The dog was in the closet. Yeah, they said in a closet in the bathroom, not locked in. Right, but when the police gave the press conference, they said the dog was found in a kennel. And then he said it twice. With the presser we just watched, he said like a kennel or a crate. He said whatever you want to call those things. Oh, thank you, Net Detective. I should have muted. Yeah, I don't use a mic because my voice is so loud. So I just use the mic on my computer. I apologize for not muting when I was typing. I know that can be annoying. Thank you, Net Detective. I really appreciate it. Liddy said, me too, Abella. Still, the comfort is that it was their choice. Yeah. Flora said, I have to go through a closet to get to my bathroom, so I don't know. They said the bathroom doors were wide open. Animals hide when they feel their end, said Liddy. It's possible.
Investigators also noted that the fire department did not locate any signs of carbon monoxide leaks or poisoning. The gas company also responded to the home and did active testing of the gas lines in and around the home. There were no signs or evidence indicating that there were any problems associated with the pipes on the property. The search warrant wraps up by stating the cause of Hackman and his wife's deaths are unknown. It is still unclear how long this couple may have been dead. Here's what the Santa Fe sheriff told local media in a news conference about that. This video is from local TV station KOAT.
All I can say is they have been deceased for quite a while. You know, that's a determination that's better suited for OMI. And
see, that's the presser that we watched, and they talk about the animals being in a crate or kennel.
Mm-hmm.
The experts, but it sounds like they had been deceased for a while, and I don't want to take a guess in reference to how long that was.
I want you to see the place where Gene Hackman lived in Santa Fe, New Mexico. Just a beautiful property. According to Zillow, this house was worth more than $3.3 million. And you can see from this satellite picture from Zillow's website just how remote this house was. Hackman moved to Santa Fe in the 80s. He told Architectural Digest in 1990 that he wanted to live in New Mexico because he fell in love with the place after shooting some movies there. At this hour, authorities are continuously working to put the puzzle pieces together. So with so much anticipation for the autopsies of Gene Hackman, his wife, and even the family dog that was found passed away, I want to talk to Dr. Michelle Dupree, who is a former medical examiner as well as a former police officer. So the perfect person to talk to as we're all trying to figure out what happened. Doctor, good to see you. Before
I'm sure she's got a lot of insight on this, so I'm curious to hear what she has to say.
I'm gonna hop
we
off.
get into the specifics and some of the science, because
Sorry, love, I didn't mean to do that to
it's
you.
fine.
Okay, love,
Yeah,
I
I'm gonna
appreciate you
hop
coming up.
off. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no problem. definitely enjoyed at least talking about this, and I will catch up the rest of the stream later. But yeah, this is like I said, unfortunately a sad, unfortunate end for Gene Hackman and Betty and their dog and the other dogs because they have to be traumatized in some way,
Yeah.
and the family, of course. And I just hope they find the real answer, and
Yeah.
hopefully it was no foul play, but it's just too much weirdness, high strangeness, as I always say.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of weirdness going on. I know, I mean, and I'm not, again, I try not to be too much of a conspiracy theorist, but I heard
Mhm.
that the Epstein list was just released. I don't know who all's on it. Um, I mean, you could go down several rabbit holes with this. Um, I mean, I really do think that it was just his pacemaker stopped working and maybe he walked in and he fell out and then she did something.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, either she just panicked. It just seems weird, just the way if she did panic, just the aftermath of like not trying to at least report to authorities or at least maybe trying to help get the dogs in a safe position or some to that effect. But I mean, yeah, we don't know. So, but I just hope you have a great day and everyone else in chat. And yeah, and I'll catch you in the next stream.
Okay. I hope you have a good day.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye bye.
Bye. That was Bazard. He comes up and gives us a male perspective. Josephine and Mayla's mom. Hello, it's so good to see y'all. Mayla's mom said, did they not have anyone who was concerned about them after a couple of weeks? From what I've heard, they're like they prefer to be by themselves and they're more reclusive. Um, and So, I mean, and if they, I would think that maybe they talk to their family once occasionally or whatnot. So maybe that's why. That would be my thought on that. Hello, Hio. Good to see you. I don't know if you just jumped up something in the back.
I did. I wasn't expecting you to bring me up, but hello.
Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too. Let's see. You were asking me about this.
Oh yeah, the warrant. If you had it without the watermarks, I was gonna put it on Patreon. But you don't. I don't. I can get with you later about that.
Oh, okay. I thought you needed it. I thought you were going to bring it up.
Oh yeah, we did. I brought up the one from As the Gavel Drops Discord, and by the way, they're pinned at the top of the comments section. If you guys want that document, you can get it there for free on their Discord. Okay, I'm gonna play this.
Want to dive into that. Just in terms of what we know at this point, and in your experience as an investigator, but also a medical examiner, how common is it to have this type of death investigation where there are just so many questions so many days later?
It's really not all that common. In fact, that's one of the reasons that we do an investigations. It's one of the reasons we do an autopsy is to find answers to these things. And it is still very early in this investigation.
Doctor, mummification is a word that was used by authorities when describing the state of Betsy Arakawa, who's Gene Hackman's wife. Many people hear mummification, you think of ancient Egypt and all that. But in your world, what does that tell you that her hands and feet were in that state when she was found?
Well, it does tell us that the body had been there for a while. And we see mummification when it's a dry, arid sort of environment. And it depends on, the environment in the house and where she was found. But probably, the body had been there for a couple of weeks. That tends to happen, first of all, in the fingers, because that's the place where there's the least amount of skin and tissue. So that's not really uncommon.
And knowing Santa Fe, that is a dry climate, how would that impact the state that the bodies are in compared to if they were found in a place like Florida that's far more humid?
Well,
so that's the question we've been asking. So we'll finally get an answer to that now.
Have different types of decomposition, actually, and mummification is what we find in those dry, arid climates. In a place like Miami or someplace where it's cooler, maybe more humid, we'll find a different kind of decomposition. It's called saponification, where the body just kind of almost liquefies. And so it depends on where they're found in that location.
So based off what we know at this point, which was there was also some bloating in her face, you have the mummification, the decomposition of the body. What does that tell you? I know you said a couple weeks. What do you think the timeline is, if you had to guess, as how long this couple may have been passed away for?
Well, again, the information that I have right now, not having seen the bodies, I would say, probably 2 weeks around that time frame. And again, remember that time of death is always an estimate based on the last time the person was actually seen and when they're found.
Yeah, and I know the maintenance worker said that he had not seen them for a period of time. CO poisoning is something a lot of people, carbon monoxide, thought when you hear that it's both members of the family were dead, but then also this dog that was in a kennel was also found passed away. How, even though that there was not a gas leak that was found in the home, is it possible that CO was still the cause of death for Gene Hackman and his wife?
I think that it is possible. I think right now we have to be very careful about ruling anything out. There's something in law enforcement that we call tunnel vision, and we don't want to just pick up on one thing and go with that. We want to leave our mind and our investigation open to all possibilities.
So they're still saying that it's a possibility, but that's weird to me, considering that he was found in the mudroom, passed out. Like maybe they could have dropped at the same time. And then the dog in the kennel could have gotten carbon monoxide poisoning as well. It would depend on, though, if he was coming in, like if the way he was faced. If his head was towards the door like he was trying to open the door, then I would think that's a possibility. But if he had just come in from outside, I wouldn't think that's a possibility, because you would open the door and the carbon monoxide poisoning would go out, and I don't think it would make you drop as soon as you entered the house necessarily. That would be my speculation on that.
We do have carbon monoxide poisoning. The body turns a particular reddish kind of color. And so sometimes it's often evident, sometimes it's not as evident. So I think all things are open right now.
During an autopsy, how can you determine, beyond just those visual appearances of CO poisoning, how can you determine if that was the cause of death?
We actually can do a blood test for carboxyhemoglobin, and we can tell that way the percent of concentration in that.
And are there other types of, I just think of toxic fumes that can be in the house that, in your experience, you've seen? I mean, carbon monoxide is the one that a lot of people think about because they hear about it often, but are there other types of cases where you see those toxic fumes that do exist in our homes, but may not get as much attention?
Josephine, the dog was found in the closet of the bathroom in a kennel. And I mean, again, I would think that maybe starvation or something, but if they died of carbon monoxide poisoning, then the dog would have died of carbon monoxide poisoning too. If it was in a kennel and unable to exit the house like the other two dogs were able to, would be my thought on that. Mayla's mom said, I wonder if they have insects or in that way they're able to determine the time of death. That's a good question. I wouldn't know. Like, I'm more used to East Coast. Like in Florida, there would definitely have been insect activity, but they wouldn't have been mummified. So the fact that they're mummified in the different climate, I don't know. Because again, it's not very common that you hear about mummification. That would make me that would make me question about there being insects on them or the insect activity. Crackerjacks said, I work voluntary at a cat rescue, and you wouldn't believe the conditions some animals come in, left in emptied flats due to the same dehydration and starvation. It's so cruel. Yeah. Flores said, with his money, he could have a subscription ambulance service if he'd wanted to. I'm sure he could have. So the other two dogs that did not die were outside, and there was evidently a doggy door so that they could go in and out of the residence, from what we heard earlier in the stream. So we're thinking that they accessed food somehow or ate things outside, and you can figure out what I'm talking about in that aspect. And came in and out, so they were able to maybe access some water out there, maybe some puddles or something, I don't know. But because they were allowed to go in and out, I would think that's how they survived. Sorry. And then Mayla's mom lastly said, I would assume there would be insects because decomp would have happened first. I would think so, but I don't know. I'd have to look up. I mean, I could look it up, but I don't know that I'll find anything because it's just such a different type of climate. And it's not, again, it's not often you hear of mummification happening.
There are, again, very rare. Carbon monoxide is the most common. But there are also other things, that we should consider besides just carbon monoxide poisoning. And it could be a variety of causes. And that's why we try to keep our mind in the investigation open.
Where's your mind going when you see what we know thus far and what the causes of death could be?
Actually, I think that we'll probably find a reasonable explanation for this. I don't know at this point what that might be. One thing that I think might be maybe confusing the issue a little bit is the dog. And I think that we should be cautious to remember that perhaps if Gene Hackman and his wife both died, that the dog may have just simply starved to death because he was locked up. He wasn't able to get to food. So that's one consideration. It may not be the only one.
How long could an autopsy take? I know that we were talking with a lawyer yesterday when this news first broke, who's from Santa Fe and has experience with the ME's office. They're saying that there's a bit of a backlog, but assuming that this case would get some sort of, maybe get to the front of the line, how long could it take until we get some answers?
Well, the actual autopsy itself, as you may know, is 3 parts. It's the actual visual inspection of the body, and there was no trauma found at the time. And then there's the internal examination. And then, of course, the third thing is the toxicology. And toxicology is typically where the autopsy takes the longest to get results back. And that simply depends on how backed up the laboratory might be. Various laboratories have different time frames. It could be months. Hope it won't be, but that is possible that it could be months.
How common is it? I know I talked about how common some of these cases are, but where there's really no apparent clues at this point. And also Betsy Arakawa, she was in her 60s, so still relatively young compared to Gene Hackman, who was 95 years old and had looked frail in recent years. But to be at this point where there's seemingly no evidence of what may have happened, how often have you seen that?
Actually, again, it's more common than you might hope. But we look at everything. We look at the totality of circumstances. We look at the crime scene and any indications there might be there. There was reported some prescription pills there. What were those pills? How many were there? What are the dates on those pills? And then, of course, toxicology will bear that out if any of those were actually ingested. But we also look at anything else. We call them scene markers to determine, what might have happened. I understand that there was no signs of a struggle. That's a good thing. So we take a look at everything and basically go where the evidence leads us.
Yeah, and turning to kind of putting on your former police officer hat, because when I think of the messaging that's come out from this sheriff's office, and it's the original no signs or there's no believed to be signs of foul play, but then the sheriff has said that everything is still on the table. When you're making a determination that there is no signs of foul play, what goes into that to then go public and make that statement?
Well, of course, the first thing is we look at the body. Is there any signs of trauma outwardly on the body itself? If there are none, then we look at the rest of the scene. Did there appear to be a struggle? Were things in disarray? Were drawers open, like someone was searching through something to look for something? And
yeah, again, I would think that considering what we know of how they found them and their locations and their bodies, would make me think that's why they don't think that there was a struggle involved. But then you have the search warrant that's talking about blunt objects and objects that could cause trauma, but that could be just something that they do automatically.
And apparently none of those things really existed. However, it's a little bit unusual to find a husband and wife, both deceased, in different parts of the house for no apparent cause. And so that's why I think determining this as suspicious is absolutely appropriate. It leads us to open the investigation, to dig further into it, and to try and find the answers.
Now, it'll be very interesting to see how this story is pieced together. Certainly a lot of interest, especially considering Gene Hackman, one of the great actors of all time, and a lot of attention now on the medical examiner there in Santa Fe, New Mexico, doing that test. And I'm sure you know very well what it's like to go through the pressure of making sure you figure out exactly what happens. And that's kind of just for you having done that. What is it like? I mean, what type of pressure is this medical examiner under, knowing the examination that they're doing is going to be something that so many people will be focused on when it gets released?
Well, I'm sure he's under an immense amount of pressure, but I'm more concerned to find out what the cause of death is, because again, it just is so suspicious that they were both deceased and the dog. I mean, obviously, probably the dog died, unfortunately, from being in the kennel for that long, but it is extremely weird and concerning to find both a husband and wife deceased in the house together, and they both be natural causes. Could it happen? Absolutely. Maybe God called them home both at the same time, but it is weird. I definitely think that his had to do with his pacemaker not working anymore, but her, I don't know.
Well, first of all, let me say that I'm familiar with the office there in New Mexico, and they are outstanding, one of the best in the country. So I have full confidence and faith in them. And this case, like every case, though, there is pressure, but because we are very well trained and we know what we're going to do and we know what we have to do, there will be some pressure, but it's just part of the
just part of the job. And going to be very interesting to see what happens. This is a fascinating case that's playing out in New Mexico. Dr. Michelle Dupree, it is always so great to have you on here on Law and Crime. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Hackman
Oh,
was a 2-time Oscar winner. He was a 5-time nominee. His career spanned 40 years of movies. So many people have been remembering some of his most iconic roles since learning of his death. In a 2011 interview with GQ, Hackman was asked how he wanted to be remembered. This is what he had to say. Quote, "As a decent actor, as someone who tried to portray what was given to them in an honest fashion. I don't know beyond that. I don't think about that often, to be honest. I'm at an age where I should think about it." We'll keep a close eye on this story as it continues to develop. For On the Case.
So, I think I do have a video that kind of talks about his career and them remembering him that we can look into next. He did have a long spanning career. Hio said if he died of natural causes and she was devastated, I could understand why the pills were around her. And we have discussed that. Lori was talking about the heater we've talked about. Considering that she was found on the floor and the heater evidently fell over at some point and was kind of, I'm assuming, facing her, that would tell me why the mummification process had started happening, because she had that heater blowing directly on her. So that's kind of where I'm at. I mean, but you question, why was there no note left, or why didn't she let the dog out of the kennel so the dog would have survived if she was just so devastated about his death that she did it herself. This is a quick We the Marines director pays tribute to Gene Hackman. So we'll watch this real quick and then we'll continue on through the playlist. Let me try to pause it before it starts playing. Okay.
The buzz is building over how the Oscars will pay tribute to Gene Hackman. Here on Oscars red carpet, final preps are underway for Sunday's show as producers have the last minute and difficult task of making sure the Academy Award-winning star is remembered in a fitting tribute worthy of his status.
Right now, most people are going to assume that the Oscars will have a separate segment, in tribute to Gene Hackman, but that's really a matter of timing. Do they have it in the show? Would they be able to cut something to make sure it fits, or will Gene Hackman be a part of the in memoriam?
That's why. We're also hearing exclusively from the director who worked with Hackman on his very last film, We the Marines.
I'm Gene Hackman, and I was a Marine.
I spoke to director Greg McGillivray. who says he begged Hackman for 3 years to voice the documentary made in 2017.
He just was the guy who could take any line and make it interesting.
That's what our motto, Semper Fidelis, always faithful, really mean. That's why you never stop being a Marine.
But the director says Hackman, then 88 years old, nearly backed out of the project. At the very last minute, things changed. What happened?
Yeah, his wife called me the day before. We had the plane tickets all ready. She's a really sweet lady. And she said, I get the sense from Gene.
You could see how old he was in that picture. I mean, looking at him like that, I could assume that, yes, his family probably had prepared for his death, and they were probably, knowing that it was going to happen at some point. I just wish the doctor would have known that the pacemaker stopped working or would have done something about it. But that gives you an idea of their health and their state by looking at them. She looks like she's still got quite a few years left in her. He's definitely getting at the end of his life in that picture. Sorry, Basil was like demanding attention, so I was trying to do that while I was talking.
The sense from Gene that he's nervous about this, that he's been retired for a while and he doesn't know that he can handle it. She kind of said he's nervous about his looks because he doesn't look like the movie star anymore.
He says his wife asked if Hackman could record his lines remotely.
It worked out to our advantage, actually. He was relaxed. He was willing to do anything that I wanted him to do, including lots of ad libs.
Believe me, it ain't no walk in the park.
The tone that we got from him was one of deep respect for what he'd gone through and what the Marine Corps represented to him.
Hackman was just 16 years old when he dropped out of high school and enlisted in the Marines,
Oh, wow.
long before he went on to become an Oscar-winning actor.
Well, I'm going to get in trouble for that. Inside Edition tune. Abellis. Oh, whoa, no. Hold on. Okay. Abellis had said something that was interesting. She said, "I'm sorry, I just don't see this woman unaliving herself over his death. She was 64, he was 95. She knew he could go at any time, really. Being a recluse doesn't mean wanting to die." Yeah, I'm having an issue with that too. I mean, it depends on how in love they were. I know they were married for quite a while, and how devastated she was over his, if she knew that he was deceased. I mean, these are all just speculations we have. I don't think we'll know anything until we get more information from the medical examiner and things like that. We have this one that says he likely died at least 9 days before the bodies were found.
Now to the mysterious deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife.
Okay, let me make it bigger and I will start it over. Yeah, Alex, I'm wondering the same thing. I'm wondering if God just called them both home on the same day. Like if she fell, or like somebody had said in chat a second ago, maybe she fell trying to get him his medication. That would make sense if she's going through the bottles looking for the nitroglycerin to put under his tongue because he fell, and she's got, just going through the bottles, opening them quickly and just, throwing them, trying to hurry up and get the nitroglycerin. That would explain the pills being all over the counter. And then if she fell and hit her head or something, that again would explain her being on the floor, and maybe the heater got knocked down in the process, and that would explain the heater being blowing on her. So that kind of makes sense to me. Miss King of Anything said, "But the love of my life died, and I wanted to be with him, and I would have died next to him." I'm so sorry that happened to you. And I'm thinking, that maybe something like that happened as well. Again, these are all just speculations. I do not know. I was not there. I did not see, but I think they're all possibilities.
Now to the mysterious deaths of actor Gene Hackman and his wife. CBS's Tom Hansen is in Santa Fe, New Mexico, where police are seeking clues into what exactly happened. Tom.
Jerika, good evening to you. As well known as Gene Hackman was, neighbors tell us that he and his wife led intensely private lives here in Santa Fe, their longtime home. And while we've been learning more about this case, there is still so much we don't know. Many of the theories on how Gene Hackman and his wife could have collapsed in separate rooms and died have been ruled out. There appeared to be no signs of a struggle, no trauma, no forced entry, nothing to indicate foul play. Santa Fe Sheriff Adon Mendoza said,
Both individuals tested negative for carbon monoxide. An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th.
Investigators believe Hackman likely died at least 9 days before the bodies were found. The home had no surveillance cameras. They say the best hope now for unraveling the mystery surrounding the death of a Hollywood legend could be the discovery of 2 cell phones collected as evidence. Have investigators been able to get into the...
I don't know why it's doing that. Pamela Moss said, don't most heaters have like that automatic on and off switch? They do now. Mine do. We have little space heaters, and yeah, they have that thing to where if they fall over, it turns off. But I don't know how old the heaters were in their house. Like the little space heater she could have used for her bathroom.
The obtained cell phones?
Not at this time. We have them in our possession. We'll be analyzing cell phone data, phone calls, text messages, events, photos in the cell phone to try to piece a timeline together.
And we may not get answers anytime soon. Full results of the autopsies of Gene Hackman and his wife may not be released for at least 3 months, Jerika.
All right, Tom Hansen for us. Thank you.
Lord, I hope it's released before 3 months is up. My goodness. This next one says, what FBI found in Gene Hackman's mansion will leave you shocked.
French Connection, The Conversation, Superman, Gene Hackman.
So I'm wondering, so this is going to tell us basically the results of the search warrant. So let's see what they found.
French Connection, The Conversation, Superman, Gene Hackman has died at the age of 95.
Agents from the FBI did not expect what they found when they entered Gene Hackman's mansion. They were surprised to find what was hidden inside the property of the famous actor.
Bodies of the Hollywood legend and his wife, Betsy, were discovered in their New Mexico home.
Gene Hackman was always known for his roles in private life. Many questions about his past and what might be hidden for years were raised by what they found. Was it an old mystery, a lost treasure?
Okay, so I don't recognize this voice. I don't know that it's from a news channel, so I don't know what they're going to say. I watch these with you guys and react to them. Take what you hear with a grain of salt, unless it's been verified somewhere else by, an actual, legitimate source. I don't know I can't see right now who did this. I will tell y'all when we're done watching it who it's from.
Treasure or something much darker. As more details come to light, people everywhere are left wondering, what was Gene Hackman really like when he wasn't in front of the cameras? Join us in this video as we uncover the details. The shocking discovery at Gene Hackman's mansion. A cloud of suspicion has formed around the deaths of 2-time Academy Award-winning actor Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, after their body.
It does appear that they were very much in love. I mean, they had been together for quite a while, and I think that's really sweet to see pictures of them together. They're always together, and I really love that.
Bodies were found in their large home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. At first, authorities said,
Hey, BH, good to see you. BH said the 17th was on a Monday. They said no forced entry, but the door was standing open. Yes. We talked about that stuff in the beginning when we played this press conference that you see the picture from on your screen right now. They gave us a lot of information.
Said there were no signs of foul play, and early reports suggested carbon monoxide poisoning as the cause. However, in a surprising turn, investigators now call their deaths suspicious and have launched a full investigation. 2 maintenance workers made the shocking discovery. According to the search warrant, they arrived at the property for routine work and found the front door open. 2 more canines, meantime, were seen running loose on the grounds. Even more doubts were generated by the fact that a deceased dog was found inside a crate, which baffled investigators. It was evident from the decay and mummification of Gene Hackman's and Betsy Arakawa's bodies that they had been dead for a long time before being discovered. Betsy Arakawa was discovered in the bathroom after authorities investigated the rest of the house. She was resting on the floor, close to a countertop, where there were pills all over the place and an open pill container. This sparked speculation about whether she had overdosed, experienced a medical emergency, or something darker had occurred. One experienced investigator found the situation strange, saying, "In no way is it adding up to me. I've handled thousands of death cases over my career, and it is an anomaly to have 2 people fall over dead at the same time without some major cause."
Again, like I said before, I really am questioning if the pills all over the counter again was from her looking for nitroglycerin. My dad had nitroglycerin, and it's an extremely small bottle, which would make me think, unless she had the medication in a bottle with other medication, because the pills are really small too. You can definitely tell what it almost looks like the bottle that I saw it in that my dad had, because he had issues too. It looked like one of those amber colored glass bottles that you would get paint for model cars in. It was real small, it's a lot different than a regular prescription bottle. I don't know if they still look like that, but I know that medication is extremely dangerous. So I would think that you would have it in its proper container. And it would be, definitely different than all of the other medications. Hey, Allison, good to see you. Allison said, "My guess is the animal that was locked up died simply from starvation and dehydration. The 2 animals not locked up found ways to feed themselves and drink." Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. Yeah, it's kind of like it's dynamite. My dad, yeah, I remember my dad saying something to that effect. Flora says, yeah, it has to be in a special bottle. Lori said, lady, that's why they need to take it out after the PM. Oh, I guess you're talking to somebody else. And then BH said, that's just so sad to know nobody cared enough to check in at the very least 1 time a week. Yeah, I know they were recluses, but it is sad. Pointer Lover said the nitro bottles are still tiny. Okay. So yeah, that's interesting. Bad Girl said hubby's comes in a prescription bottle with the little bottle inside. Yeah. Okay. So that maybe she was going through the prescription bottles to look for the little bottle inside the prescription, and all the other pills fell out.
When federal investigators arrived, they were reportedly stunned by the condition of the bodies. An insider close to the investigation described their reaction as one of pure shock, saying, "You expect to see bodies in this line of work, but this was something else entirely. The level of decomposition, it's almost like time had frozen inside that house." Some officials wondered how such a famous actor and his wife could go unnoticed for so long, while their bodies deteriorated inside their home. Authorities believe the results of the autopsies will be key in understanding what really happened. Right now, they are considering all possibilities, including natural causes, accidents, or even homicide. Gene Hackman, who was 95 at the time of his death, was one of Hollywood's most well-known actors. He won Oscars for The French Connection and Unforgiven, and played major roles in over 80 films. Many fans knew him as Lex Luthor in the Superman movies or from the Royal Tenenbaums. Film experts praised his ability to switch between drama, action, and comedy with ease. One historian said, "He was believable in action films, had depth in dramatic roles, and was really funny in movies like Get Shorty. His range was incredible." Hackman retired from acting in 2009, citing health concerns. His last appearance at an award show was in 2003 when he received a Lifetime Achievement Award at the Golden Globes. In 2023, he was seen in public for the last time with his wife outside a restaurant in New Mexico. He looked.
So that was 2023. That was 2 years ago. That's how he looked. So I'm sure he looked worse now. Unfortunately. Pamela said usually you have that little bottle with you at all times. Flora said if you're reclusive, you don't want anybody bothering you. Right, and that's what I'm thinking. Abella said it's not that long if it's 2 weeks. My friends don't see me for months sometimes, and I live in the city. Yeah, yep. Flora said it was said that she was the one to use the phones, etc. He just wanted to be left alone. Yeah. Hey, Jenny Jen. Good to see you, love.
Frail, using a cane and holding on to his wife's arm for support. News of his passing sent shockwaves through Hollywood. Actress Gwyneth Paltrow, who worked with Hackman in the Royal Tenenbaums, posted a tribute on social media, sharing a photo of them together with a broken heart emoji. After the bodies were found, the New Mexico Gas Company was called in to check for gas leaks, since carbon monoxide poisoning was an early theory. Investigators wanted to rule out any possible hazards. However, after inspecting all the gas lines, the company found no issues. The investigation is still ongoing, as authorities continue to collect evidence and wait for autopsy and toxicology reports. Officials have assured the public that they will uncover the truth behind the mysterious and tragic deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. What really happened inside Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa's home in their final days, and could the strange details surrounding their deaths reveal a deeper mystery? Let's find out. The unanswered questions.
So, I mean, I wonder where he got the information that the gas company checked and there was no leaks. Again, I would take it with a grain of salt, but that's interesting. Flora said, I have a Ring doorbell and I don't answer the door unless somebody I know is coming. Yeah, that's another thing. Like I'm in my 30s and I don't answer the door when people come unless I know you're coming. Like, and I get anxious when people come. I don't like people coming either. So I'm very reclusive as well, I would assume. I would say that I'm a recluse. Fawny said nitroglycerin is kept in those tiny bottles because they are very light and air and moisture sensitive and cannot lose any potency if possible for obvious reasons. Paraphrase from Google AI. Okay, thank you for that, Fawny. I really appreciate that. Okay, Miss King of Anything said, I heard from the news that the gas company had checked. Thank you for that.
And theories surrounding the deaths of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. The bodies of Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa showed signs of drying out, which has led to many questions about how long they have been there and what caused their deaths. Some believe it may have been natural causes, an accident, or something self-inflicted. Others wonder if something more unusual happened. When deputies arrived, they found the couple's front door open. This has raised concerns about whether they left the door open themselves, possibly because they felt unwell or if someone else had entered or left before the police arrived. Inside, Hackman was found in a small room near the back door. It looked as if he had fallen, as a cane and sunglasses were nearby. Arakawa was found in a bathroom on the other side of the house. A space heater had been knocked over and pills were scattered on the counter, next to an open prescription bottle. The house had 3 pets. 2 of them were still alive, but one was discovered dead in a carton. The survival of 2 dogs raises the possibility that food or water was available for a while. But it's likely that the dog in the crate was starving and thirsty, which supports the theory that the couple had been dead for days or perhaps weeks.
Right. I see that some of y'all are saying the gas company was called, as they said in the first presser, which we talked about. Thank you, Julie. Yeah, I know that they were called for the cops to be able to enter the house safely. But my question is, like, when was it released that they determined there was no leaks? Because I know that they were called and the police were able to enter, but when was it checked to make sure there was absolutely no leaks in the system? Which, you know, maybe it could have been done at that moment and they could have told them before the cops came in, or did somebody have to come out and see if there was a small leak, or, you know, if maybe a sensor wasn't picking up a leak. Like, how did we determine definitively that there was absolutely at no point no leak whatsoever at all, ever? You know what I mean? That's my question with that. Yeah, checked right away, but like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'm thinking too much into it. For them to say that there had been no leak at all during the time period that they were there, that maybe they missed on their systems without actually going out there and being physically present, that's kind of what my thought process was. But I'm sure that they could probably check it remotely and tell you definitively immediately.
According to experts, prolonged exposure to warm, dry air can cause skin to become leathery or stiff. Since this typically takes a few days to weeks, the couple had probably passed away for some time. It's not clear how warm or dry the house was at the time, but the space heater near Arakawa suggests that heating was being used. This could have made the air drier, speeding up the process. However, without further testing, the exact time of death is unknown. Authorities have ruled out carbon monoxide poisoning because fire officials and gas company workers found no signs of a leak, and the alleged autopsy confirmed it. There was also no sign that anyone had forced their way into the home.
So he did just say the alleged autopsy. So I'm wondering, I mean, I'm assuming maybe part of the autopsy has been leaked at this point. Maybe I can search on Google and see what we can find.
And neither of the bodies had any clear injuries. Despite this, investigators are keeping all possibilities open. Some have speculated that this may have been a case of one person taking another's life before their own. However, there are no obvious signs of violence, and in such cases, people often leave notes or arrange their surroundings in a certain way, which does not appear to have happened here. Another theory is that the couple chose to end their lives together, possibly due to health concerns. In cases like this, people often take an overdose while lying next to each other. But since they were found in different rooms, this explanation does not fully make sense either. It is also possible that one of them died first, perhaps from a fall, an illness, or an overdose, and the other followed soon after, unable to cope. If Hackman fell in the mudroom, Arakawa may have found him and taken pills in distress. However, this remains unclear until test results show if any substance were involved. Another possible cause could be something in their environment, such as extreme dehydration or exposure to something harmful. Investigators are now looking into their medical history to see if either had health issues that could explain their sudden deaths. Since there are no clear answers yet, investigators are looking at all possible clues. Tests on their bodies could take weeks or months. Police are also checking their phone records, emails, and medical visits to see if anything unusual happened in the days before they died. Some have questioned whether another person could have been involved.
I'm thinking the phones are going to tell us the most.
While there were no signs of forced entry, the open door suggests someone may have been inside. It is unclear whether that person was a visitor, someone who found them earlier, or someone with harmful intentions. Right now, the cause of death is still unknown. Whether it was a tragic accident, a decision they made, or something else entirely remains to be seen. Until medical tests provide more answers, people will continue to wonder what really happened to Gene Hackman and Betsy Arakawa. But with so many unanswered questions surrounding their deaths, could a loved one's perspective shed new light on what really happened? Keep watching to find out, unraveling the carbon monoxide theory. According to Gene Hackman's daughter, Gene Hackman's daughter has spoken about his sad passing at 95, saying she thinks carbon monoxide poisoning might have caused it. On Thursday, Elizabeth Gene Hackman told TMZ she believes toxic fumes could be the reason for their deaths. a gas company has confirmed it is helping with the investigation into what happened to the couple. Leslie Ann Hackman, the daughter of Gene Hackman, spoke with the Daily Mail after her father passed away.
So if the daughters are saying that they do speculate that it could be related to carbon monoxide poisoning, that would tell me that maybe they are thinking that at one point there was a leak and maybe it wasn't leaking again. But he said from the alleged autopsy report and what y'all been saying in chat, that they said that, or supposedly rumor is that there was no carbon monoxide found in their blood.
She said that even though he was old, he was still in very good shape. She explained that there were no signs of health problems before he died, so she believes a gas leak or carbon monoxide poisoning might have played a part. In her words, even at his age, he was in great shape. She also mentioned that he had not had any big surgeries in the months before he passed. Leslie shared that her father enjoyed doing Pilates and yoga several times a week, which helped him stay healthy. She said that while his passing at 95 wasn't too surprising, Betsy Arakawa's death at 63 raised more questions. She described their marriage as very happy and said, "I believe Betsy played a big part in keeping him going." She talked about how much Betsy cared for him and always made sure he was doing well. Betsy took very good care of him and was always watching out for his health, Leslie said. For that, I am really grateful to her, and I am very sad that she's gone. Elizabeth is one of Hackman's 3 children from his first marriage to Faye Maltese. The two were married from 1956 until they divorced in 1986. Maltese passed away in 2017. Hackman.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. I didn't know that he got married in 1956. Goodness gracious, that was a long time. Right, Mercedes? Mercedes said 95 years old. Maybe the murderer was Mother Nature, right? Rachel said they released that the autopsy said no carbon monoxide. I think that's just a simple blood test. Okay, thank you for that.
Hackman later married Betsy Arakawa in 1991. After leaving Hollywood, he kept a low profile and was hardly seen in public. He made a rare public visit to attend a comedy show in the same city. Gene Hackman's daughters, Elizabeth and Leslie, and his granddaughter, Annie, are heartbroken over his passing. With heavy hearts, we share the sad news of our father, Gene Hackman, and his wife, Betsy's passing. While millions admired him for his incredible acting, to us, he was simply Dad and Grandpa. His loss leaves an emptiness that words cannot fill, and we are truly devastated, said Elizabeth, Leslie, and Annie Hackman in a statement to People. Many well-known stars are also remembering Hackman's legacy, including Clint Eastwood and Morgan Freeman. Eastwood, who directed and acted alongside Hackman in the 1992 Western Unforgiven, shared his thoughts. No actor was more talented than Gene. His performances were always real and powerful, never anything less than perfect, he said in a statement on February 27th. More than that, he was a close friend, and I will miss him deeply, he added. The demise of actor Gene Hackman is still a shock to many. However, he did leave a legacy. How did Gene Hackman go from being an ordinary man to one of Hollywood's most respected actors, leaving behind a legacy that will be remembered for generations? Stay tuned for more. Gene Hackman's legendary career and an unforgettable legacy.
I was muted, but when I heard what Clint Eastwood and them were saying about him, I was like, oh, that's so sad. I have a lot of respect for Clint Eastwood. He's a really good actor as well. And he directing the films that he's done lately. I think he's been doing a fabulous job. All I need is Jesus, said exercise is different. We saw that man 3 to 4 years ago looking very frail. No way he's doing yoga or Pilates. I mean, to be fair, I was thinking the same thing. But, you know, I mean, I assume it wasn't like extensive yoga or Pilates, maybe. That's the only thing I could come up with.
Hackman began his acting career at the renowned California Arts School Pasadena Playhouse. However, his peers didn't think well of him and even gave him the lowest chance of success.
Oh, wow.
Hackman was not deterred. Rather, he was inspired to disprove their claims and demonstrate his true abilities. He was at the Pasadena Playhouse when he became good friends with Dustin Hoffman, a famous Hollywood actor. At the first time, Hackman had a problem finding a job. Regardless of the numerous auditions, he was always turned down because of his acting skills and appearance. But he continued regardless of all of these difficulties. He kept on working very hard. He acted in theater productions, taking small roles, and he got better every day. When he was given simple roles in television shows and films, his efforts started to pay off. Lilith was his first film role, but Bonnie and Clyde was the one that really made him famous.
Oh, wow.
His portrayal of Clyde's brother, Buck Barrow, was powerful and poignant, and it came naturally to him. He was nominated for an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor because of how well his performance was received. Because of this accomplishment, he was able to move above supporting roles and become known as one of Hollywood's rising stars. His portrayal of Popeye Doyle, a resolute police officer, in William Friedkin's The French Connection in 1971 marked a significant turning point in his career. Doyle was portrayed in the crime film as a tough but complex man who struggled with morality and danger. Hackman became one of Hollywood's most well-known figures. After his outstanding performance earned him an Oscar for Best Actor. The picture was a big hit and had an impact on a lot of subsequent crime movies. Hackman became well known in the film industry as a result of this role. After The French Connection, Hackman continued taking on important roles. In 1974, he worked with director Francis Ford Coppola in The Conversation, playing Harry Call, a surveillance expert dealing with guilt and loneliness. This role...
I really appreciate them going through this so that we, get an idea of his career. Carolina said, yes, very private as well. I also heard that his daughters weren't involved in Gene Hackman's will. Believe his granddaughter is. Do you know anything about that? Thank you. I don't know. I don't know much about that, like who was involved in his life and who wasn't. Yeah, I'd have to look that up. I'll see what I can find on it, but I don't know that I'll be able to find much. Okay.
Role allowed Hackman to show deep emotions, and the film was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. Critics praised his performance, calling it one of his best. During the 1970s, he starred in many other famous films, including Scarecrow, where he acted alongside Al Pacino. The movie told a touching story about friendship and loneliness, and the strong bond between the two actors made it even more powerful. In 1978, Hackman took on a completely different role by playing Lex Luthor in Superman, opposite Christopher Reeve. He made the villain funny and clever, turning Luthor into one of the most unforgettable bad guys in movie history. This role showed that Hackman wasn't just good at serious characters, but could also entertain audiences with humor and charm. As Hackman's career reached incredible heights, he continued to take on unforgettable roles. But behind the scenes, did the demands of his work and the passage of time begin to take a toll on his health? To learn more, keep watching Gene Hackman's silent struggles and battle with health challenges. In a busy year, where he acted in the 1990 films Loose Cannons, Postcards from the Edge, and Narrow Margin, Hackman also had a medical procedure to prevent a heart attack. At the age of 60, he went through an angioplasty, a process where a small balloon-like tube was inserted to clear a blocked artery near his heart. This was reported by United Press International in 1990. We treated him just in time, said Dr. Herbert Semler to UPI. Luckily, the blockage was in a spot where we could easily reach it with a balloon catheter and open it up. Hackman had been dealing with chest pains that spread down one of his arms while he was on a trip to Oregon. According to UPI, doctors said he was just hours away from suffering a heart attack. Dr. Semler also mentioned that Hackman had never had heart problems before, and the blocked artery was simply due to aging. In a 2004 interview with talk show host Larry King on CNN, Hackman spoke about the procedure. King asked if he had been scared about it. No, not really. I didn't fully understand how serious it was at the time, so I guess that's why. Hackman said, "It all happened very fast. I went in and came out the same day."
Oh, wow.
King then asked if he feared for his health. Hackman replied, "I try to take care of myself. I don't have many fears. I think we all worry about dying, especially as we grow older. My main concern is making sure my wife and family are provided for. Other than that, I don't have a lot of fears." In a 2009 interview with Empire, Hackman revealed that his health was a major reason he left acting. "The doctor told me my heart wasn't in the right condition to handle stress," Hackman shared. In retirement, he...
Lori, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I am so sorry. That is horrible. Oh my goodness. I'm reading what y'all are saying.
He found joy in writing, fishing, painting, and watching low-budget films with his wife in New Mexico. He co-wrote 3 historical fiction books with archaeologist Daniel Lenihan, and also wrote westerns and crime novels on his own.
That's cool.
Writing has a different kind of pressure, he explained. It's something you can control because you're alone, instead of having a whole film crew waiting for you to perform. Aside from heart issues, Hackman also had an accident in 2012 when he was hit by a car while riding his bike in Islamorada, Florida.
Oh, no.
The Florida Highway Patrol told CNN that Hackman, who was 81 at the time, was not wearing a helmet when a pickup truck hit the back of his bicycle.
Oh, God.
He was flown to Ryder Trauma Center in Miami. Hackman's spokeswoman later told Reuters that the truck only lightly hit him, and the reason he was flown to the hospital was that he was on an island. She added that he had just a few minor bumps and bruises and was released after a few days. Do you think the death of Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, was of natural causes?
Oh, goodness gracious. Hold on a minute. Sorry about what was on the screen. Goodness gracious. It's weird to me that he was kept in the hospital longer for the heart. I mean, longer for the head injury than he was for the heart issue. Okay, I think we got 2 more. So this one says Gene Hackman's wife's isolation before their tragic end. Housekeeper reveals shocking details. Let's see what this one says. When it decides to load. All right, now. Hold on. Let me try that again. Hey, Lisa. Good to see you, love. Basil is over here. He was, I told y'all that he was here. He was just demanding attention a minute ago. So we're going to look at, I think this one's a 5-minute video. We're looking at what the housekeeper says. And then I think there was another short one talking about the police saying his last pacemaker activity was February 17th. Let me get this pulled up. Okay. So I think these are the last 2. This one's 5 minutes. It says Gene Hackman and wife's isolation before their tragic end. Housekeeper reveals shocking details. Okay, so it says the following content may contain unaliving or self-harm topics. Viewer discretion is advised. So I'm just giving y'all a trigger warning now.
Are you with the patient now?
Yeah, I'm over at the.
Okay, I'm going to make it big and restart it again. Oh my gosh.
Spacious now.
Yeah, I'm over at the property. There's no address here, so I have to meet the ambulance or the police, whoever, down at the gatehouse.
I think I might have to read it. Eerie new details deepen in Gene Hackman and wife's death mystery. Dead for days, scattered pills, dead dog found inside kennel. Family reveals Betsy had stopped speaking to mother. This might tell us about the kids too, Carol. I think whoever asked me about that. Housekeeper reveals details. Okay, hold on a minute. I'm going to turn this music off because it'll make me cut out this part of the video. Okay, so it says Gene Hackman and wife Betsy Arakawa grew distant from relatives before their deaths, claims housekeeper. So that would tell me that they were distant from the children. I don't know about the grandchild. I had to mute it because of the music. I'll get in trouble. I like that they show pictures of them and things. It says Arakawa previously checked on her mother, Yoshi Fester, 91, battling dementia, but stopped calling. I wonder why. Housekeeper Kiko said Arakawa last called in October, raising concerns among family members. Hobby Farmer, thank you for being here and thank you for your comment. Hobby Farmer says pacemaker, my spouse has one. It does not at any time alert if it stops. I didn't know that. I thought it was supposed to shock your heart. Or, well, I mean, I guess I thought it was like, okay, if your heart stopped working, it would shock your heart and then it would send a message to the doctor or something. I thought. I could be wrong. Okay. It says Hackman also reportedly became a recluse with his daughter not speaking to him for months. The couple was found dead with one of their dogs inside their New Mexico home on February 26th. My dad used to wear a vest like that. Oh, hold on. I'll unmute it. Police informed Fester about Arakawa's death, but she forgot due to her dementia, said the housekeeper. I don't know if they were playing where the presser said anything. Yeah, it's still just the music. I need to pull that presser up. Maybe we can watch that one real quick. Okay, it says pills were found scattered on a bathroom counter near Arakawa's body, police revealed. She's so pretty to me. Law enforcement confiscated multiple medication, including Tylenol, thyroid medicine, and diltiazem, which I think they said could be for blood pressure. Sheriff Mendoza declined to disclose medication details, citing HIPAA confidentiality laws. Forensic pathologists suggested spilled pills might indicate Arakanda's medical condition or an unaliving. Officials also revealed that Hackman and wife, quote, might have been deceased for at least 9 days. They said at least, so that would make me think it could be longer than that. I mean, I'm again thinking like the 2 weeks thing. Hackman's pacemaker recorded his last event on February 17th, indicating when he was last alive. So he was at least last alive on February 17th. I wonder if he died that day. Arwakanda's body was decomposing with mummification on hands and feet and facial bloating. Hackman's body was found near a kitchen with sunglasses beside him, suggesting a possible fall. I see your comments. I just didn't want to highlight it so you can read what it says. Preliminary autopsy reports found no external trauma and both tested negative for carbon monoxide. Okay, so that answers that question definitively. Police stated no foul play is suspected, but officials are investigating cause of the deaths. Okay, Miss King of Anything said if you have to deal with a parent with dementia at some point, they don't know you, and it can upset the person with dementia when you try to talk to them. Yeah. Miss King of Anything said she was only 63. She had a lot more life. Yes, she did. Bad Girl said yes. It's stated, but Betsy's mom suffered from it, and she hadn't seen her for a long time. Yeah, you're saying blood pressure medicine? Oh my goodness, Anders, that's interesting. Ali X said him being a recluse may have been from older age dementia too. My dad was that way. Oh wow. Okay, let me see if I can pull up this other presser real quick, and then that'll probably be it because they just told us about the pacemaker episode, and we've heard about that. Sorry if y'all can hear me typing. Hold on, I'm looking. I just see that one so far. I'll play this one, and then I guess I'll go for the day because we've seen about everything.
A picture of the timeline related.
This is from Indiana, the Delphi News Channel, that WTHR 13. All right.
Getting a clearer picture of the timeline related to the death of Oscar winner Gene Hackman. Authorities tonight are saying that Hackman probably died more than a week before someone discovered his body. And now we're taking a closer look at the new developments in this investigation into what happened and when. New details tonight in the death investigation of 95-year-old actor Gene Hackman and his wife, 65-year-old Betsy Arakawa.
An initial interrogation was conducted of Mr. Hackman's pacemaker. This revealed that his last event was recorded on February 17th, 2025.
The Santa Fe County Sheriff revealing tonight that Hackman was probably dead for 9 days after being discovered by maintenance workers Wednesday afternoon.
I think that is a very good assumption that was his last day of life.
In an affidavit, deputies
February
say the couple's
17th.
bodies were found in separate rooms. Hackman near the kitchen with a walking cane and sunglasses near him. His wife was found in a bathroom next to a prescription bottle with scattered pills on the floor. Her body, quote, showed obvious signs of death, body decomposition, bloating in her face, and mummification.
They've clearly been dead for several days, and I'm saying days plural in order to get that kind of mummification. It's wrinkled up and it's dried, and it could be anything from kind of a leathery change all the way to the point that it's so hard that you can't even cut through it easily with a scalpel.
Oh, wow.
Santa Fe deputies recovered 2 cell phones, 3 kinds of medicine, medical records, and a 2025 monthly planner from the home.
The manner and cause of death has not been determined.
The couple's German Shepherd was also found dead in a crate in a bathroom. 2 other dogs were found healthy on the property. Of course, here in Indiana, Gene Hackman is best known for his role in the movie Hoosiers. He spent time here filming. The shoot brought him here to Indianapolis and also to Knightstown. Just yesterday, we've been talking with Brad Long. He played the role of Buddy in the movie Hoosiers. Before portraying one on film, Long was a basketball player in real life at Center Grove. He talked with our Rich Nye about that shoot and working with Gene Hackman. You can see their conversation. It's a powerful story by going to WTHR.com.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Hey, sweet Melissa. It's good to see you. Oh, sweetheart. I think that she might have done something, to be honest with you. She still had a lot more life in her. Rachel said, my dad had health issues and would get upset when I went to his nursing home to see him. I would sneak in and see him at a meal. The nurses would help me. That is so sweet and so sad at the same time. I'm sorry that you had to deal with that, but I'm glad that you were able to go see him. Lori said older people at, oh yeah, I'm thinking that the pads might have been for bladder issues too. Yep. You are lucky if you make it to your 60s and don't need depends. I know us women who have had children, if I sneeze, sometimes, yeah, things happen. So, and it's just from, carrying children and things like that. So it's normal. All right, you guys. Well, I'm going to be back tomorrow. When will we know what happened, said Veronica. Sorry, I got sidetracked. When we get the autopsy report, we'll know what happened. BH, I'm glad that you don't need that right now. Some people do, some people don't. It just depends on the person. Thank you all for being here. I will see you all tomorrow. I really appreciate you guys being here, hanging out with me while we deep dive this case and get what information we were able to get. I hope that you guys have a safe and good Sunday evening. We will definitely be back tomorrow. I don't know what we'll be talking about, but I will figure it out. I'm also releasing a video probably pretty soon after we end the live where from yesterday, where Leilani and her mother discuss Bullhorn Betty, Sebastian Rogers, and Dog the Bounty Hunter at the end of their conversation. So make sure you look out for that. I love you all. Thank you for being here. I could not do this without your support and you guys being here. We do have the best chat on YouTube because you guys are so kind and sweet to each other. You guys are amazing people, and I'm so fortunate that you guys chose to come here and choose to hang out with us every day. Each and every one of you are just so amazing and so special, and I really appreciate y'all and love y'all so very much. I hope to see y'all tomorrow, and I hope you have a good Sunday. Bye.